Everybody, how are you all doing today? That's good to hear, except for the guy who's doing terrible. I'm sorry about that. So we have just a few requests, if we could, please. First off, we have FlipON.TV. Just so you know, you can go online and you can actually watch all of our things broadcasting live. Pretty cool. First time we're doing it. Second thing, we do have a mic in the middle. So if you guys have questions, please go up to the mic and use it. Third, no flash photography, please. Take as many pictures as you like, though. We love to see those on Twitter and Facebook and everything. Lastly, if you have cell phones, could you please put them on mute or vibrate? And if you get phone calls, just please take them out in the hall. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jhonen Vasquez.
Hello, can you guys see me? How about now? About right there? Would you be unhappy if I sat behind this the entire time? Well, I'm gonna just sit on this thing. Okay. Hi. I don't think this. Oh, there we go. So I've got a panel later on today with Titmouse. And they don't want me to talk about any of the cool stuff until that panel. So prepare for an hour of less cool stuff. Thank you for coming. I actually have nothing to, I'm frustrated. I wish they were reversed because I would like to talk about all of that stuff. So I have nothing to talk about. So what do you guys feel like talking about? You know, you know me, but I don't know you. You know, like what are you about? Where do you get your ideas from? You don't have ideas. You're no fun with this. Who has ideas? Let's hear someone else's horrible ideas for once. Oh, he's like, oh no. I'm gonna try and hold off on taking questions, actual questions, because if anyone's ever seen any panels of mine, it's the worst thing I could ever do. I get asked the worst questions. We'll have an example question of horrible questions. Does anyone have a question? Just one person if you have a question, just raise your hand. You, right here in the front.
Are you going to continue the bread comic?
See? She was asking me if I was going to continue the bread. Who saw my bread comics online? Yeah. It's my best work in years, I think. I'm trying to think of Ben. Where's Ben? What am I? Ben from Titmouse. I'm trying to think of what I'm doing that's interesting that isn't with Titmouse, but most of it is with Titmouse right now. I am. See, God, it's so goddamn vague. I killed a man. Thank you very much. Jesus Christ, that was only like a few seconds of conversation. I'm doing some stuff in animation, not with Titmouse, possibly series work. I know, but it's not Zim, so... Let's cheer on the disappointment of people who only want me to do Zim things ever again. Drink in their tears. I love it. It's fun. I made a girl cry yesterday because Zim wasn't coming back. No, I told her at first, it is, and then I said, just kidding. And she got all red, and then the tears kind of started welling up, and then they wouldn't spill, so I just sort of I just squeezed her face a little bit. And then they poured out. And then I was happy. But yeah, see, I can't even say who with though. But it's animated stuff. It's not adult stuff, unfortunately. But neither was Zim. So, you know, so it's not like it's gonna be Rugrats or anything. Not that Rugrats didn't fucking rule, you know. But it's with my friend J.R. Goldberg. who would be doing all of the visual elements. She'd be doing all the design, and I would just be doing the writing, which is really kind of liberating and at the same time maddening, because I'm usually trying to control absolutely everything. But it's nice to be able to sort of step away and look at a thing that's mine, that doesn't immediately sell itself as, oh, there's more of that stuff from that guy, you know? Which gets kind of on my nerves. I look at things that people say are reminiscent of my stuff, and I look at it and I'm like, ew, you know? And I think, am I that bad, you know? So just in case I am that bad, Jenny's amazing, and it'd be neat to see something that doesn't look like Zim, you know? I don't know if anyone saw like the other stuff I was working with Titmouse on, the Randy Cunningham stuff. Thank you. Yeah, I look at that and I think it's still too close to Zim, the look of Zim, you know? And I just kind of, I like the idea of working with other artists, just so that the content it's still a thing that I would do, but not something that just looks like something I've already done. You know, it'd be neat to see people doing fan art of Jenny's stuff and not mine, because I'm sick of seeing fan art of my stuff, you know. That's a horrible thing to say, isn't it? What else? Jesus, I don't know. Give me something to make up. Oh, we can just bitch about Colonial Marines the whole time. I love and am heartbroken by the fact that just saying Colonial Marines warrants, oh God, It was one of the worst games I've ever played. No, it's not. It was just incredibly disappointing. Who said, oh God? You did. Did you play all the way through it? Oh, you couldn't. See, I'm so much of an old school Aliens fan, even though I've had, you know, it's like just like the Aliens series is like the Chris Brown of genre series, you know? I keep trying them. No, not true. I skipped Aliens versus Predator, the last one that came out for all the systems, but this one was supposed to be the one that made it work. But I played all the way through it, and I just kept thinking maybe the writing is gonna, at least maybe the story is gonna be something interesting, even though the gameplay is not. And it just, by the end of the game, it had just reamed me inside out, you know. We can talk about that all. Who wants to talk about being reamed inside out for an hour? No, then. What? Did I ever play AVP 2? What is that? AVP 2? Oh, you're talking about the old PC game, the Monolith ones. Yes, those were way back on the when I was first like playing PC games. Yes, I remember liking those, but even at the time, they were sort of outdated. They were using like an old graphics engine, and it was just. I've never had that like, oh my God, like I just finished playing. Every game that I just finished playing, aside from Aliens, gave me a sense of like, impressive. This feels modern and satisfying to some extent. Aliens was not. It was horrible. Let's not talk about it. I'm getting sad. Dead Space was fucking awesome. Yeah. I loved 2 a lot. 3, I wasn't scared playing 3. I wasn't scared at all playing 1, but I got into it in a very sort of like arcade, you know, time trial, just trying to get through it as fast as possible kind of thing. 2, I got completely into. I loved it, loved the story. 3, by that point, you can't really be surprised by what you're fighting anymore. You're like, oh, look, another hideous, horrible thing from hell. Hi. And then, but where it went, the scale of it, the story, and just, you know, the traveling, you know, floating in space, and then you transition to getting into a spaceship. And there's no cutscenes, there's no in-between. It's just, you get into the spaceship, and then you fly it to the surface of that moon, and it's just, then there's a cutscene after that. But it's just, that stuff is just exhilarating. Like my favorite part in part 2 is when you're in space, you're floating around in in space, and you take those rocket boots all the way back down to the surface of the planet. Amazing. Sorry, I can talk about this stuff like forever. I can tell you're not gamers, which breaks my heart. No, fuck you. Let's break this up with an actual question. If anyone wants to get up there, no, just one person though, so that you feel the pressure and you really have to think of a good question. Because when people start lining up, oh God, you, yeah, this is gonna be the best question you've ever heard, ever. I'm excited.
All right, so I can tell just from listening to you talk and reading some of your stuff that you're not super excited about being famous.
What am I mumbling or? Hi, everybody. Although that was kind of Elvis.
A little bit. So I'm wondering, do you regret the fame? Like not creating something and putting it out there, but just the fame that came from it.
I try to relate it to how I have ever been a fan of anything. It's a horrible thing to say to a bunch of people at a convention. You're all horrible people. No. I don't relate to it. I find it weird. I could never do the kind of things that I see people do in the name of being fans of things. Like I love things. If you hear me talk about games or movies and stuff, I always have. I've just lived and breathed storytelling and just world building, all of that stuff. I admire anyone that has anything to do with it, even the people that made Colonial Marines, because they didn't want to make a shit game. They just made a shit game. But I think a lot of people are fans wrong. I don't regret it. I like that people like what I do. I mean, that's great. I'd be a complete ass to be like, hey, why the fuck you like my stuff? Also, while expecting people to buy my stuff, and it's like, oh, fuck you, buy this. But it gets irritating. I can't lie. It gets really irritating sometimes. The way some people. It's like I do a certain thing, but I don't do a thing so that people can ask me about, what color my hair is, or it's like that. That's like fucking like just teen idol shit. That's grotesque to me. And but it's still I have to remind myself that it's flattering because it's not like they're, being awful. They're just. I don't relate to that. Like when someone like you spoke to me like a person. You came up, you asked a question, you sort of like, look, a human being, I'm going to talk to you like one, as opposed to coming up and going, oh my God, you're just like, oh my God. Which is nice as well, but sometimes I freeze up. I'm sort of like, I don't know what to do. I guess I will sit here. I guess I will stand here and watch you collapse in a puddle of like, boogers and probably urinating yourself, which maybe is a compliment. I'm sure it's a compliment, but I can't relate to it. Like, I've never contacted anyone that I've been a fan of. I just am a fan of their stuff. I run into people, like at these things, or out. I live in LA, and sometimes you run into someone famous. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, oh my God, it's that guy, or it's that dude, or it's that monster from the movie. Because none of that stuff is fake. And maybe there's a part of me that thinks, I should talk to them. I'm going to say hi. And then I just think, no. I have nothing to say to them, I'm trying to think of any time I've said anything to anyone. And I can't. Unless there's a reason to do so. Like we had, when we worked on Zim, Danielle Koenig, who was the writer's assistant, her dad was Walter Koenig of Star Trek fame. And he came in, and so, he's in the lounge, and all the writers are sitting around him. They needed a reason to suddenly be in the lounge while he's waiting for his daughter. So, you know, yeah, he's there. He's at my show, you know. I'm sort of like, hey, Walter Koenig, what are you doing here, you know? You know, get out. But, so to answer your question, I don't think of myself as a famous person. I don't like being thought of for my person so much as my work, you know what I mean? Because people form all kinds of horrible and completely delusional opinions of you as a person. And the less of me that there is in a person's head, I think the better. In certain people's heads, you know, you might be a perfectly well-adjusted person.
I like to think so.
And I appreciate that, you know? But there are a lot of people who think that the more psychotic or the more bizarre their behavior, the more they're gonna be like me, when I'm just sort of like, dude, shut up, you know? I don't think of myself as weird or anything. Why would you? Why would you think of yourself as, I'm weird, I'm crazy, you know? Dude, I'm fucking crazy. It's like, no, you're not. You're like every other person that says that. So that's my answer to your question.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that was a good question.
You're probably going to hate me for this.
I already hate you because I said one person. But go on. No more people get in line because we're going to see how these go.
Me and my family were really huge fans of Invader Zim, but
Thank you.
there's a question that's been going around my family, and we're wondering, why was the show canceled
Oh.
halfway through the second season?
Oh my God. All the rest of you, just somebody shoot them all. I could answer that question, why it was canceled, but nobody will ever quote it. It will be whatever people want to think happened, and it's usually more interesting than what actually happened. The show got canceled for ratings. It's boring.
What?
Thank you.
They can't say it's boring. It was hilarious. It's huge.
Oh, no. I wasn't saying the show was boring. My show was boring, and they can't. I'm ashamed of it. I'm glad it's dead. No. There is no story for why it got canceled. It's just a whole sequence of kind of disconnected events led to it being shuffled around, didn't build an audience. Nickelodeon at the time was, I don't know about now, but was no home for it. It was not a home for it. It was, I think when it premiered, it was Fairly Odd Parents, Rocket Powered, maybe SpongeBob, maybe, and then Zoom, you know. And I liked SpongeBob. I don't know if I haven't seen it in forever, but I thought it was pretty funny. But I wouldn't say that it was a good fit for the kind of stuff that we were doing. So it just didn't have a home there. It was an ugly little child in a family of very acceptable, very well-dressed kids.
My other question is, what's it like coming here and meeting the person who did the voice for Gur and Zim again?
Well, I've met them before.
Ricky
lives. They all live near me, and yeah. So it wasn't like, Ricky, I haven't seen you since the airport. Although, sometimes. So it was good because I like them, but it wasn't surprising. Yes. Thank you. Hello.
I'm a technologically primitive little Luddite, and I don't have a smartphone yet.
That's
But
fine.
I like
You don't have to apologize for things you don't have. I don't have a camel.
The room
I'm sorry.
It seems like a crime if you don't have one now, but if I did, I would just look this up on the internet. But I remember you were doing these little writing bits called "I See How You Die."
Yeah.
Are you still doing those?
I haven't done that in forever. I kind of forgot about it.
I thought
But
it was a great, like, fan
I should. I will. If you see it updated, it's because of you. Thank you.
If I send you my picture, will you tell me?
What's that?
If I send you my picture, will you tell me?
Maybe.
God.
Some people just send really bad. Some people just take really bad pictures.
How many penises?
Or they're already like, here's a picture of me making a crazy face, and it's sort of like it's not funny, and I'm not gonna. It's just like the more normal or sort of like regular the picture is, the better.
How
Cause
many penises?
what's that?
How many penis pictures did you get?
How many pictures did I get?
Penis pictures.
Oh,
You must have
none.
gotten penis pictures.
Thankfully.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Which is not an invitation to send them.
Might just be me then. Okay, thank you.
Ladies. Actually, no, if you are a lady and have a penis, send a picture.
Two questions. What's your opinion on the Transformers movies?
I don't like them. I like watching giant robots and stuff. I could put them on while I'm working and mute them and just look up and go, that's an interesting mess of shingles. The third one I saw with my niece. She's 9 at the time, and it was the third. I think Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
And I was visiting with the family, and I was like, hey, let's go to a movie, and it was just her, and she's like, I'm like, what do you want to see? And she's like, I want to see Transformers, and I was like, oh, I hate you. But we went, and you know, it was cool seeing it with her. It wasn't the worst one I'd ever seen, and it was kind of fun because at one point, she kind of turns to me and she's like rolls her eyes, and I'm like, yes, you know. And anytime, and for some reason in that movie, it was incredibly, for robots, violent. So like Optimus would behead someone with that sword of his, and there'd be like oil, but it's blood just exploding from the holes, like, and they'd be making like choking sounds, and that was her favorite part. So it was like,
Especially the eye part too.
the which part?
The part where like they would get their eyes blown up. It's kind of creepy.
I don't remember a lot of that movie. I make up a lot of the movies when I'm watching them and I'm bored.
Me too.
Yeah. And what's your other question?
Whatever happened to Johnny anyway?
Whatever happened to him?
Yeah.
You will maybe find out more about that later today at the Titmouse panel.
Okay.
Just lower it.
This is kind of a boring question, but what do you think about the new Call of Duty Black Ops 2?
I thought it was fucking cool. That's not a boring question. I loved playing through the campaign. I play through the campaigns and then I kind of forget that I played through them. But when I was playing through it, I was having a lot of fun. There's moments in going back to the Aliens thing, or just games that can't get a decent version made. Call of Duty, the Black Ops 2 had a lot of moments that reminded me of things that I loved about movies that I wished I could play these scenes. There's that scene in Black Ops 2 where you're in that flooded city and it's nighttime, and those unmanned, the drones, the aerial drones are just kind of like scouring the city with the searchlights, and you have to like sneak through the searchlights. It was completely like Judgment Day stuff. Like it was like in the Future Wars and Terminator, where the hunter killers are searching. And playing it, I was playing on a projector, and it's dark. And I'm just like, this is so cool. Oh my God, this is cool. I loved it. I love anything that I like anything that doesn't make me sad. And then after that, I played a bit of the multiplayer. Had a lot of fun. I don't so much, but I still play the zombie mode. That last zombie map pack is amazing. And if you haven't tried it, you're a fool.
I haven't. What do you
I just called a kid a fool. You're not, but if you haven't, you are.
What do you think about the villain Menendez?
It was cool. It was very Hollywoody. I like that they gave the villain it's very simple, but they're like, you killed my sister, I'm now evil. And, it's like, that was cool. Well, did they kill his sister, or she just burned? Is she dead? Yeah. Oh, that's right. He goes to her grave at the end and douses himself with, I just gave the ending away. I'm sorry.
She got exploded. She got exploded when...
She got exploded. Didn't they throw a grenade and it bounces and he's like, no, and then she's like, eh. Yeah. Good question. Thank you.
need a camel. You're right.
What's that?
You need a camel. You're right.
No, I don't.
Are you sure?
No camels, no dick pics, and
Well, my question for you is simple. So you're a gamer. You like gaming.
I do.
You ever think you could either do animation or writing for maybe a game?
I would love to do writing. I don't so much animate myself.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I can, but it's slow and horrible.
What about like if you see a rope for behemoth?
I made a ball jiggle in Flash. And I was really proud though. Like to me, you know, I just stared at that loop. I was like, I did that. But yes, I would love to do writing for games and stuff. But I know I have friends who have done this and don't have the best stories to tell.
Really?
But I guess it all depends on who you work with. You know.
I think you could work with Behemoth. They're kind of.
They kind of have their own shit covered, though. Dan and them. They're you know that would be fun, but they don't need me. You know, there are many other studios who need me, or anyone who you know isn't. Oh God damn it! You're gonna get me on Aliens Colonial Marine again. Why is the Sulaco back here? Shouldn't it be back on Fury 161? Yeah, but whatever. And that's it. They don't explain it.
No.
Hicks, shouldn't you be dead? Yeah, whose body was that on Fury? It's a long story. That is not addressing. That isn't connecting the series. That's going.
Prometheus was worse in my opinion.
Oh.
Prometheus? I thought that was worse.
No, let's not do this because I could seriously just I'll be up here sobbing for the rest of the panel, and there's other people. Prometheus was awful.
Oh God.
Someone said "aw," which means you like it. Get out, because who? Okay, no, not to be judgmental. Who liked Prometheus? You all fucking suck, because it. Okay, you know, maybe I could see, I can watch it and as like a gore movie or as like, it's beautiful. I own it, I put it on, and I don't have the sound on. I just look up and I'm like, oh, that could have been so amazing. Watching all the extras and stuff makes it feel like they're the extras for something that's like, wait a minute, this is amazing. Maybe I should give this another chance. And I watch the movie and I'm like, God damn it,
Did you ever see the sci-fi horror movie Pandorum?
Yes.
I thought that was a lot better.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it's a shitty movie. It's like a B movie, but it knows it and it's entertaining, and I was weirdly satisfied. I didn't expect to. I throw a lot of bad movies on when I work. I throw on like just Netflix and just anything that's awful. You know, I'm like, time to work. I'm gonna put on Android. But Pandorum, I actually own it. I was like, I don't think I've watched it since I bought it. I watched it on Netflix, and then thought I would like to own this, but then I haven't watched it. But watch Pandorum. It's something. You know, it doesn't think it's anything more than just what it is. It's just goofy sci-fi crap. Thank you very much.
Okay, so a few years ago, I got really obsessed with Invader Zim, and I was sad that there wasn't any more of it, so I researched like similar stuff.
So I killed somebody.
And it eventually led me to Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and I went up to my mom and was like, Mom, can I get this book? So she researched it, and she said she found a quote that you said that you don't want little children reading it for like obvious reasons. Well, a few years later, I went out and actually bought the book. So what is your reaction to me as a little child reading your book?
I don't care. I don't know. I wonder why I said that. It might have been in reference to something specific, but I just think that there are certain people I don't want reading my stuff. But I've met people, young and old, little kids, that are already, you can tell, they're fine with whatever you give them. They can separate, you know, they know it's, you know, like again, like go back to my nieces, and they're sort of like my model for people that I can talk to about stuff. Like, I, from their birth, would just lie to them, like, incessantly. And I can't recall a point where they ever didn't give me this look of like, right? You know? But, you know, they laugh, but they know, it's bullshit. So I don't care if kids read my stuff, even if it's the most horrible. My favorite stuff when I was a baby, my sister took me to go see Alien in theaters, you know? And I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with it. It was almost like fetishistic about the chest burster. Like I used to go to my friend's my uncle's house, and he had a son. His son had the Making of Alien book, and I would annoy the hell out of him to let me look at the book while I was hanging out at my uncle's house, and I would just stay on that page, and just all the blood and I knew it was fake. I always knew it was fake, but it was beautiful to me. It was it was hypnotic. And afterwards, I didn't think, how can I explode from someone's chest? It just made me want more movies like that, more stories like that. So, yeah, I don't care that you read my stuff as a child. I hope you liked it, and if you didn't, I hope you aren't horrible enough to spend hours and hours writing posts on the internet about why you hated it. You know, I hate all kinds of stuff, but you don't need to know about it.
It was.
You know?
I actually liked it a lot. Showed it to my friends. Yeah. They didn't like the nail bunny.
Why?
Because.
What's wrong with your friends?
Okay. And I have a second question. What's your favorite part in Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and the whole series? Like, what's your favorite part?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't read it in a long time.
But you wrote it.
Happy Noodle Boy. No, in terms of the actual, I know I wrote it, but probably stuff towards the end. I liked when it was getting stranger. It's hard for me to think about it because I can't help but think about how much it bothers me. Yeah, I look at it and I just see like, oh, dude, I was 19 when I wrote this, and every word is like 19-year-old me, and it's hard to go through it. I like the part where that person gets killed. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, so my question has a little bit to do with what she talked about when Zim went on Nickelodeon. Do you feel like you were saying that wasn't a good place for it? Do you feel like when you put out Zim, you were directing it towards kids, or you were directing it to a more adult audience?
I wasn't directing it towards anyone. Yeah. You know, like it's the kind of stuff that, again, my favorite movie as a kid was Alien. So my idea of what's right for kids or right for adults is a little, maybe it's a very personal perspective. I don't look at a lot of stuff that's made for adults and think it's very adult. I just think that there's like, tits and cussing in it, and I guess that passes for adults, but it just seems juvenile to me. So with Zim, I wasn't trying to make anything for kids. I was trying to make something for me and take certain... Was that your ringtone or?
Yeah, it's my text message.
That's your text message sound? Yeah. Here, I'll play you mine.
It's the ringtone to my friend Julie.
Oh, she has a specific ringtone, and it's the Doom song? Let's see. All right, here's my text sound. You hear that? Who knows what that is? Motion tracker. Yeah. Thank you. And here's my generic people ringtone. Although sorry. I was answering a question of yours, wasn't I? Zim things. Yeah, right. Okay, I'm back. Weirdly enough, that wasn't so much a problem. There's stuff that I naturally gravitate towards. Yes, I wish that Zim could have incinerated kids and done all kinds of horrible things, but I wasn't those weren't any of the battles. There weren't moments where I did try and incinerate kids, and they're like, "You got to take this out." I'm like, "What do you mean? Why?" I'm always gonna want to go do what I do unrestrained, though. So, and we'll talk about that at the Titmouse thing.
And I have a second part of my question. So looking at other shows who kind of are also, I guess, geared for kids and that are kind of have a darker theme, like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, like, do you...
Courage the Cowardly Dog was terrifying.
It's scary,
wasn't it?
Right? Yes. Like, how do you, if you were like to promote yourself in your Zim, how would you say that it sets it apart from other shows like that? Honestly,
I'm the worst person to do that. I don't think I've thought about how I'm different from this or that. I think I'd get like really nervous trying to be like, let me tell you what I'm all about. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Thank you, though.
No problem.
No, another ringtone. Yeah.
All right. I have two completely random and unrelated questions. One,
I'm going to guess it's not a random question because you know what you're going to ask.
It's random for you.
Almost everything that anyone has ever told me was random hasn't been random.
Let's try
I want for a random thing to actually happen because, I would appreciate if someone was like, I have a question, and then exploded. I'd be like, that was completely random. Although, no, because there was probably some, physiological situation that was leading up to it. So it would just be mysterious, but still not random.
You don't know. Maybe I'm about to say
Anyone who says random sucks.
Then let's
Except
go with
for
a
you.
non-random question. Let's go for a non-random question. How did you end up, and how did you like working with mindless self-indulgence?
How did I end up working? I think that, they were fans of mine, and their management got a hold of me and just asked if I'd be interested in. They were like, hey, they'd like you to do some artwork for them and direct some stuff for them. Was the first one, and that was it. They were fans. They contacted me, and now we're buddies.
Oh, cool. So that wasn't the end of it. You might work with them in the future, or is that something you kind of?
I'm working with Jimmy.
Yeah. Just Jimmy by himself.
But maybe I'll tell you more about that at the Titmouse thing.
All right. And then my other question, as artist / graphic novel person, what do you read?
Right now I'm reading John Dies at the End.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I watched the movie and it was just a mess, but one of the most enjoyable messes I've ever seen. It's just like, I don't even know if there's really a structure in that movie. It's just sort of like, stuff happens. But I was laughing all the way through and just, it's a cheap movie, so the effects are kind of dodgy, but you're just like, this is amazing. It's just one of the most imaginative sci-fi horror things I've seen in a long time. And so I thought I'd read the book because I'd heard that they deviated a lot from the book. And I'm glad for that because I'm reading it now. And the first half is like, this is kind of the movie. And then the second half now is just all completely, this wasn't in the movie. And it's amazing. It's so much fun. I thought I was just going to read it just to get through it, to get to, this book is full of spiders.
Yes.
But I'm loving it. I'm just loving the first book. That's what I'm reading right now. I just read all of the Dune books again. I read a bunch of old, a bunch of H.G. Wells stuff that I hadn't read before. Stuff that you know through pop culture.
Have you read Star Begotten?
What's that?
Star Begotten by H.G. Wells.
I have not read that. No.
That's what I'm reading right now. And
Okay.
It's excellent. You should.
I read Island of Dr. Moreau last, and then before that, I think I read Invisible Man. Dr. Moreau is much more horrifying than all of the movie, because I grew up watching all the movie versions, and it's always genetic engineering and stuff, but in the book, there's none of that. No. It's just he's literally surgically altering these things to be humanoid, and it's awful. Awesome. It's just awful. It's really good. I was surprised. But yes, that's what I'm reading right now. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Thanks.
Me.
Hello.
Hello.
So, a couple of years ago, you did the BioShock 2, the illustration.
Yeah,
with
the poster.
So I was just curious what your opinions of the series is so far and how you feel about
Not a
the
whole lot of
upcoming-
series to it.
Well,
yet.
I mean, you know,
I
there-
liked 1 a whole lot. 2, I wasn't so big on until I liked it by the end of the game. I was like,
Yeah.
this pays off. But getting there was like,
And
it's
then
too familiar, and it was too. Infinite, I'm gonna play it. I can't say. I hope it's good.
Okay, well, that was the most generic answer ever, so thank you.
It's a generic question. Hello.
I got one question my friend's been wanting to know, but they're a douche because they're not here today.
They are all a collective douche.
Yes, everyone that's here is a collective douche.
Ah,
Or the douche.
that's a big douche. For a big lady.
My friend, he's a major Invader Zims fan, and he ties it with Evangelion because there's a lot of design. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah.
It's an anime.
I know, yeah. People turn to goo at the end.
So you have seen it. And
Yeah.
he wants to know if you dwelled any inspiration for the designs from Invader Zim from that.
I don't know about the designs, but there was definitely a lot of inspiration. Like almost the entire crew was obsessed with it at the time. You see little bits and pieces. I think there was one direct Evangelion reference, which was in the hamster one, Hamstergeddon.
Yeah.
There's the hamster running in the city, parallax, scrolling, and it's a very vague reference to it. But I can't think of so much in the design, no. Even like the tech stuff. The tech stuff is more like the stuff that I usually do, very sort of bubbly, sort of seams and stuff. But when I think of Evangelion, I think of much more hard, faceted sort of geometrical structures and stuff. But I loved that stuff. I loved all the monsters. All the angels were just freakish. But so yes, but not so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question. This bugged me. This bugged like every person that's seen this episode of Invader Zim. Even my grandma's bugged about this. In one episode of Invader Zim, Dib's talking to a random hobo.
Yeah.
And then he kidnaps a person.
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones was the hobo.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that person? A lot of people said he got raped. My grandma, like, yeah, thought he was raped and wrote like a whole fan fiction. You don't want to.
I'm sure he's fine. And stay away from fan fiction.
Just because of that, I'm definitely.
We have 5 minutes, so make these
Can do.
incredible.
All right, so you said you're
Dance if they're boring. Like
I
you're
can't
like,
dance.
where do you get your
Definitely
ideas
don't wanna
from?
See that. You said you're a gamer, so this begs the question: what'd you think of the ending of Mass Effect 3?
I didn't play it.
Good, smart.
I didn't play it. I'll probably get to it. I loved part 2, but 3 I played the demo and was like, I've got other things I want to play. I will get to it, and I'll expect for some unsatisfying ending. And if it's not, then I'll be like, I don't know what people were complaining about. It's pretty good.
And the second question is again video games. Are you you said something about creating? Are you a Minecraft player then?
No. I maybe will eventually, but I haven't done more than.
Be careful, it sucks you in.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got the time for that though. That doesn't sound. The closest I got was the Minecraft Easter egg in Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks you in. I'm always afraid of that. So.
Yeah, Mass Effect. I didn't. The demo bugged me. Like they were going for a much more dramatic kind of thing, dramatic storytelling, like the cutscenes and the music was. They had. God, who did the music? It was what's his face from like The Fountain and. Anybody? Clint Mansell. I always get Cliff Martinez and Clint Mansell mixed up. It was very like story and feelings, and it just I find their storytelling to be awkward. So the more they tried to make me care, the more awkward I felt. I was like, oh, you're bad at this. There's that kid who gets killed at the beginning. He's in the escape ship, and the Sentinels, for whatever reason, are like, look, a tiny ship when we're destroying the planet. Hey, look, a little boy, and they blow the little boy up for why?
Yeah, that was kind of.
it's like in the movies. It's like any movie where there's a giant thing and there's a character. Literally, if an ant was crawling across the table and the ant went, "Hey, fuckface," and I would be like, whatever. Why does that giant thing go, "Little boy must die"? And then what's his face? Shepard is like, "No!" And then they kind of like try and milk that for the rest of the game. The guild.
It was annoying. No, I know. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, I have a really boring and generic question.
Why do people come up and say I have a boring question?
Well, I'm gonna dance then. What do you?
Yes. What's the question?
What do you think of Kickstarter?
That is a boring question. Jesus Christ. I think it is a fundraising website, and I think that many interesting things have been funded, and many uninteresting things, the end.
Would you ever consider using it?
Yes, I've thought about it, but then we decided not to. Thank you, though. It was a wonderful dance.
Have you ever had head pigeons?
I thought that question was going somewhere really bad. Or really good. No, I haven't. Thank you. Sit down.
I have another question.
Please, someone get up and ask me an okay question before this ends.
I have another question.
Help me.
My other question is, as a writer, you were saying that fans are sometimes doing it wrong. So how does it feel when you see people dressed as the characters you've created?
When they dress as, I love seeing it. Although Zims are usually a little unsettling, because it's always this sort of like Wicked Witch of the West green, you know? And people painted green always make me a little uncomfortable. You make me a little uncomfortable with the gray.
Sorry.
The green, no, the green is worse. It just looks so unhealthy. And I know it's a costume, but it gives me the willies. It just gives me the creeps. Because it looks like, I don't know, they look all clammy and...
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I don't know if we have enough time for all the questions, but...
Hi. Okay, I'll only do one then. You were mentioning earlier that when Zim was being shown on Nick, it didn't do well alongside the other shows like SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think next to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Avatar and stuff like that that's showing now, that Zim would maybe do better?
I don't know how well Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is doing. I've seen it. I think I don't know. Maybe I've heard things that it's not doing as well as they expected. But I saw it. It was really cute. I was like, it's probably my favorite version of the cartoon Ninja Turtles. I could do without any action. I could just do with them talking. That's the best stuff. The banter back and forth. It's really fun, and I love that they actually play with some color and it's stylized. But I don't know. Avatar is very different from Zim. Very, very different from Zim. So I don't know if Zim might just die wherever you put it. It's just not. I might just not be right for things whose success are gauged by ratings, based on when people sit down to watch them. It's like I don't watch TV like that. I haven't since like 2005. Like I don't watch TV. I will download things, on my time, but I can't imagine going, it's almost time for my show, and then sitting in front of the TV. So I don't know. I like that Zim has stuck around. I like that people, it found its audience, but I'm not sure that its audience is the grand audience that networks want. They want more people to watch their stuff, and it makes sense. They put money into this stuff. But the kind of stuff that I like is usually the kind of stuff that gets canceled, Like Todd in the Book of Pure Evil is great. And it was doomed, It was so good to me that I thought this has no chance, and it got canceled. Things like Firefly or just anything. Things get canceled if they're awesome. So thank you for liking my show.
Quick question. I heard on Netflix that if the show is on Netflix,
we got the cutoff. Thank you for coming. I'll be at the Titmouse panel at 5:10, where I will hopefully talk about more interesting things.